Hello and welcome. You are live with It's All About Choices, a nutrition, fitness, weight management academy with a holistic approach where you take action regarding your health, your weight, and your goals, your life goals, and I guide you in making the best choices for you. And so today, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I have the pleasure every Tuesday of dishing out your daily dose of nutrition wellness news for your mind, your body, and your soul. And so I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And I am so glad that you tune in with me every week. I appreciate you taking time out for those who are tuning in live to kind of pause for a moment. And I thank those who are listening to the replay who take time again to pause and just to listen into a little bit of some nutrition nuggets, some health nuggets to help move you along throughout your day. And so we are continuing our series on stress and stress eating, why it happens and how to stop it. And this is a mini series where you will learn some mindful eating and some specific strategies on how to help you to avoid overeating out of stress, out of anxiety, out of boredom, and ultimately to avoid the unwanted weight gain that results from stress eating, emotional eating. And today we're talking specifically about how stress, immunity, and weight gain go hand in hand. I mean, everything is connected, okay? And so a survey that was conducted by the American Psychological Association found that 3 out of 4 Americans reported experiencing at least one stress symptom even before COVID broke out. Okay. And so the top stressors include like acne, headaches, chronic pain, decreased energy, insomnia, appetite changes. And so now you couple all that with the impacts of COVID. And many of us are still wondering or still trying to figure out how do we relieve the stress? How do we relieve the anxiety? And so today I'm going to share some practical tips, a lot of tips, like 10 or more, on some tips and some tricks on that will help you to avoid overeating out of stress, out of anxiety, out of boredom, and ultimately to avoid the unwanted weight gain, because that is what ultimately ends up happening when we overindulge, especially when it's emotionally attached versus it actually being a hunger situation. And so before I get too deep into everything, I need to get my windows set up. And so as you guys tune in and chime in, definitely say hello to me. Give me a shout out. Tell me where you're tuning in from. And then we will get the party started. So I'm just going to set up my windows. And so when you respond to me, I'm at least able to see your name and I'm able to comment. And I like to make this very interactive. So I don't want it to just me talking. I want you guys to share and give comments and share feedback. Okay. Because it'll help everybody out. All righty. And I think we are good to go with yes, we are good to go with our window. So thank you for those who gave me a second to do that. So feel free to chime in. My name is Sandra Gultry, for those who do not know me, and I am a registered dietitian, nutritionist. And my goal is simply to help you to achieve your weight goals, your health goals, eating goals, life goals, so that you feel good about yourself. A lot of this is really all about just feeling good about what you see in the mirror and enjoy the things that you enjoy doing in life without feeling like you have to deprive yourself. Okay. And that's really what my mission is. And in 2022, you've heard me talk a lot about breaking food strongholds, because a lot of us have a lot of bondage and a lot of negative things tied to food. And so we want to break all of that stuff. Okay. And so chime in and introduce yourself. Tell me where you're tuning in from. That'd be wonderful. And hi, Leslie. And she's in O-Town. How you doing, Sora? Thank you for tuning in today. And so for those who are just tuning in, because I see people popping on, we are starting this series on stress and stress eating and why it happens and how to stop it. And today we're speaking specifically on how stress, immunity, and weight gain go hand in hand. And so I would like to ask the question, I always start out with a question. And so here we are. Remember, March 11th, 2020. Okay, that was the official declaration of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's like when the world shut down. And so 2 years later, are you finding yourself thinking less about food, snacking more about food? Are you feeling a little less uncertain about the world and where we're standing? So let me know how you're standing right now. Do you have a handle on your eating? Do you have a handle on things? Are we still struggling? Or some people didn't miss a beat. Some people just we just had a break from going where we wanted to go. So this is the pandemic poll. So kind of share where you stand 2 years later, going into this third year. Do you have a handle on your eating? Are you still struggling with it? Or did you just never miss a beat? So let's kind of get an idea of where we are in that regard. And I would love to hear, and I will kind of look at people's comments. Still struggling. How you doing, Krista? We have some people that are still struggling. I mean, it's tough. I mean, we are not out the woods. I mean, we're in a better place, right, than when we was 2 years ago, but we still got a little ways to go to recover. I mean, these food prices are out of control, aren't they? If you can even find anything. And so, yes, Leslie's still struggling with the stress eating. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being transparent. And so let's jump right in. So stress, weight gain, and cortisol levels, understanding that connection. So unfortunately, excess stress can lead to increased weight and an increase in our weight. And so whether or not the extra weight results from overeating or unhealthy food choices, or simply the body's response to the increased levels of cortisol, getting a handle on stress is a priority. Okay, if you want to prevent stress-related weight gain, and not just weight gain, I mean blood pressure, all kind of other health issues, sleep, because now we're not sleeping, so we got insomnia. So it can lead to a lot of things. And so most of us don't even notice at first, but stress can have a noticeable effect on your body. So it can have tight muscles, you can have headaches, you can feel irritated, you can feel overwhelmed, and just simply out of control. And so stress does take a toll on our physical, our mental, and our emotional health. So it crosses all lines, doesn't it? And in many cases, you feel the effects of stress right away. So, but there are other ways that your body can respond to stress, such as the weight gain, but that is a slow process, okay? That it is a slow. Most times people have a gain in weight. It's a slow gain. It's a gradual gain. Sometimes it's unnoticed until it becomes 15 pounds, and then all of a sudden you see it. And so the body responds to stress by increasing levels of cortisol. And so what is that? Cortisol is a stress hormone, okay? And that increases our response to a threat. So when you're no longer perceived to have that particular threat, then those levels return to normal. No big deal, right? No big deal. But if stress is always present, then you can experience an overexposure to cortisol. And this problem can become significant over time because cortisol does also act as a significant appetite stimulant. Okay, so a lot of people don't realize that. And so this is the reason why so many people respond to stress going for comfort food or going for some favorite food that they have. And usually that favorite food is, higher in calories, higher in fat. I mean, it's something that we look forward to eating. And so a few tips to combat the stress-related weight gain. So I want you to grab a pen, grab some paper, because I would like for you to give a lot of tips, but pick one or two. Don't tackle them all at one time. Pick one or two that resonates. First of all, that resonates with you, that is like, wow, I know this is something that really affects me and impacts me, and that you really can achieve it, because you want to set goals for yourself that you will do and you can succeed at. So that's what's first and foremost. We want to make sure that we are succeeding. Okay, and so let's jump right on into some of these. So I'm planting some seeds here, okay, because we didn't get here overnight, so it's going to take time to get out of it. But the goal is planting some seeds and to get you to think about some things. So first, you want to recognize the warning signs of stress, such as anxiety, irritability, muscle tension. Recognize what is the situation, what is the environment that's causing your body to kind of, get swole up, as we like to say. And so before eating, ask yourself why you're eating, because we all know when the stress eating starts out innocent, or the emotional eating starts out innocent, but then it becomes habitual. Like you could walk in the kitchen, don't even know you're doing it, or you can grab something and don't even know you're grabbing it. But before you put it in your mouth, take a different step. Why are you eating? Are you truly hungry? Or are you feeling stressed? Or are you feeling anxious? Or are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling bored? Are there things on your mind? Just ask yourself those questions. And if you're tempted to eat when you're not hungry, the goal is to try to find a distraction, okay? Another distraction, redirect, like we redirect our kids. We want to redirect ourselves. That's the long-term goal. Okay. That's not going to happen overnight, especially when it's become habitual. And so you don't want to skip meals because that is like a number one trigger for really losing it later in the day. So you don't want to skip breakfast. You don't want to skip your lunch. You especially breakfast. A lot of times people will not eat until like 1, 2 o'clock. So that will eventually backfire. So you want to eat your meals. You want to have a good solid breakfast. And then if you're in a hurry and you gotta go, at least grab something, two things, not just one, that's food, like fruit and nuts or something to go along with your coffee. Okay. Know that coffee alone is not breakfast because that will backfire later on in the day. So we want to make sure we're giving our body something to work with. So eat healthy, such as whole grains, a variety of fruits and vegetables, lean protein, low fat dairy, heart healthy fats. Aim to include most of the five food groups at your meals. Okay, that's just an easy blanket way to think about it. So if you only see one thing, then we got some food, we got some stuff missing there. We need all the pieces to fuel our body. And so my question is, what is your favorite comfort food? What is your go-to stress food in the moments of anxiety, boredom, overwhelm, whatever that is? What is your stress food? Okay, for me, it's a crunch factor for me. So I opt for mixed nuts, and they're not just any mixed nuts. They're the deluxe mixed nuts. So we got the pecans and we have the cashews and the pistachios and the almonds, everything but peanuts. And it's very addictive. And so what is your comfort food? A lot of people it's just chocolate, it's sweet. So I would love to hear what your stress food is because it over time it can get out of control, right? Chips with or without dip. There you go. That crunch factor. And with chips, you're probably getting that salty, that crunchy and that salty mix. So exactly. So, and I will continue to check my chat to see if anybody else chimes in. But I always love to hear what people's stress foods are because it's not always ice cream, it's not always chocolate, but it's whatever it's going to. It's a temporary band-aid, right? It feels the moment at that time, but you know what? When it becomes habitual, and I'm speaking from experience, when it becomes habitual, it doesn't even satisfy anymore. You just find yourself doing it just because, and then that's when you gotta get some help. So, how stress affects our immune system? Okay, so what is our immune system? We hear about it all the time, especially when we've been dealing with COVID. It's a collection of billions of cells. It travels through our bloodstream. They move in and out of our tissues and our organs, and they're basically fighting foreign bodies, foreign antigens, such as bacteria, viruses, cancerous cells. So it's designed to keep us healthy. It's to fight off the stuff that doesn't belong in our body. And so when we are stressed, the immune system's ability to fight off these antigens is reduced. Okay, it's compromised. We call it compromised. And this is why we are more susceptible to infections. I notice that I don't get colds very often, but when I am really, really stressed and it goes on for days and days and days and weeks, I get sick. I start to not feel well. And so my immune system is in essence shutting down. And so that stress hormone, um, cortisol, can suppress the effectiveness of the immune system. Okay, so that stress hormone is going to lower the effectiveness of our immune system. So that ongoing stress makes us susceptible to illness and disease. And so some experts claim that stress is responsible for about 90% of all illnesses and diseases, including cancers and different heart diseases. The way that this does this is it's triggered by this chemical reaction and it's flooding the body with cortisol. And then it also decreases the effectiveness of our white blood cells and our NK cells. If you remember back in school, these are basically special cells that kill cancer. And on the flip side, though, the stress increases tumor development and growth. So it's almost like it feeds that. It feeds a tumor. It feeds the development of that. And it increases the rate of infection and tissue damage, our cells. And so this is why we got to get a handle on this stress because it's almost like it can turn into a silent killer, but that manifests over time. And so here are some tips to lower your cortisol levels, which will help to keep your immunity high. And so again, get your pen ready. So it's a few of them here. This is 6. So 6 tips to help to lower your cortisol levels. So tend to your spirituality. Okay. So develop and grow your faith, whether that's through prayer, whether that's devotion, whether that's studying. Stay in it. And it's almost like even when it doesn't look good, even when the situation doesn't feel good or seem good, just the fact that you're saying those words, you're crying out, it will eventually work itself out. And it's associated with the reduced anxiety and depression. Okay. And it's tough, but the more you do it, the more you will find yourself just feeling at ease in it, and you don't know why. And trust that when you lift your burdens, that you just got to have faith that it's going to work out, and you got to trust that it's going to work out. Number two, getting the right amount of sleep. Okay, I cannot stress sleep enough. The time, the length, the quality of sleep all influence your cortisol levels. Okay, the timing, the length, and the quality. Just because we're in the bed and our eyes are closed, that don't mean it's quality sleep, right? How many times have you woken up after 7 hours or 10 hours being in the bed, and you feel tired? Okay. Exercise is important, but don't exercise too much. Okay. Sometimes a lot of emphasis gets put on exercise in the wrong context, to where it's replacing other things that are important, such as nutrition and sleep and other self-care aspects. So you want to have a balance with your exercise. You want to have a variety of cardio and HIIT and stretching and resistance. You want to have a combination, and importantly, rest days and stretch days, which a lot of people tend to kind of fall short on that. Learn how to recognize your stress. Okay. Learn how to recognize stressful thinking, in particular thinking. Okay. Stressful thoughts are important signals for cortisol release. So if you're negative, the glass half full, I was that girl, the glass half full type deal. If you're always kind of pessimistic about things, it will impact our stress levels. It really will. If we always seeing the negative outcome instead of trying to find something good in it, then it definitely makes things more difficult. Chocolate chip cookies with milk. She even added the milk. All right, Leslie, that's good. That's really a good thing, though. I mean, we grew up cookies and milk, so there was a reason for that pairing. But again, that is comforting. It is comforting. So thank you for sharing that. And then have some fun. Number 5, have some fun and maintain healthy relationships. A lot of times when we're stressed and we're going through things, we isolate ourselves and we want to stay private about it. And a lot of times you don't necessarily have to tell everything that's going on, but just being around positive people and keeping those relationships and kind of keeping your routine going makes a huge difference. Eat healthy food. So in a nutshell, I'm just going to say eat from all 5 food groups throughout the day. Okay. Because nutrition can influence your cortisol levels for the better, and it can influence them for the worse. So when I say for the worse, that means if you're restricting too much, then your body's going to have all kind of inflammation and all kind of things going on with them, a reduced immune system, etc. So you want to make sure you are fueling your body. Okay. And so let's see where we are in our polls here. So what are some fun activities that you have restarted since being out of lockdown? So what have you started? Like, what have you restarted? Things have opened up. People are cruising now. People are traveling more. So, what are you looking forward to the most, or what have you already done? More specifically, a lot of people are already doing things, especially with the summertime coming up. Do you have anything planned specifically that you're looking forward to? So let's hear about those. And I'm going to check for some comments, and then we are going to move on to our next topic, which are here are some 10 tips. So this is important here. 10 tips for reducing stress. Okay. For reducing stress. So we're going to bring this on home. And this is really where I wanted you all to kind of pick 1 or 2 things that you feel that resonates with you and that you can implement and really try to tackle. Okay. And so it really comes down to reducing and managing our stress. Okay. We can learn how to manage stress, and it can lead to a happier life. We still have the stuff we got to deal with, but it's how we deal with it is what's important. We don't want to have a stroke in the process, right? So here are 10 additional important tips to help you deal with stress. Okay. And remember, we are planting seeds to start reversing some of those habitual habits. Okay. So number 1, keep a positive attitude. Okay. Doing this makes the remaining 9 a lot easier. Okay. Stay positive, even when it doesn't look that way. Just stay positive. Accept that there are things and there are events that you cannot control. A lot of us stress, I'm guilty, of things we either we have no control over or it hasn't even happened yet. We're like projecting that it's going to happen. We're predicting that it's going to happen. So accept the things that we cannot change, especially if it's in the past. Don't look in the rearview mirror. Stop hitting the rewind button. Got to let it go. I mean, we got to deal with it. We got to let it go and make changes moving forward. Number 3, be assertive instead of aggressive. Okay. So assert your feelings, your opinions, your beliefs instead of being angry or defensive or passive. So we just want to, yes, we want to share our thoughts and share our opinions, but we want to do it in a way that is received, right? Not in a way that makes us angry. Okay. Learn and practice physical relaxation techniques, whether that's yoga, whether that's stretching, whether that's a form of exercise, whatever physical aspects that will help you to relax that you enjoy doing, whether maybe dancing, anything. Number 5, learn to manage your time effectively. Now, this is a big one, and this is tough because many people overbook themselves. They are overwhelmed. They stretch themselves too thin, a combination of not knowing how to say no or a combination of feeling like they got to do everything and nothing can come off their plate. Everything is not a priority. Okay. So that's one thing we have to really be honest about ourselves. So really look at your mile-long to-do list and ask yourself what really is a priority and what can wait or what can get delegated, because we stretch ourselves way, way, way too thin. Set appropriate limits. Okay, set your limits. So, and that's where learning how to say no can really help you. A lot of times we have a hard time saying no, but I know I used to have this problem. And when I would say yes, 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 now I'm stressed out. They good, but now I'm stressed out. So you have to learn how to respectfully decline certain situations when you just cannot handle it or take on anymore. All right. And then make time for hobbies, okay? And interests. We lose sight of the fun in life. Life is too short, right? We lose so much sight of fun because we're working, we're doing things so much. So make time for fun. What are your hobbies? For me, I always wanted to learn how to play the piano when I was a child, and I never did it. I played in a band, but I never learned how to play the piano. And so I finally started doing that about 2 years ago. And I have to make time for that. I have an 8-year-old, I'm a wife, I'm an entrepreneur. I I'm a leader in the church. So I do a lot of different things just like everybody else does. But that's the one thing that's for me. And I carve out that time. But you don't want it to be stressful. It's something that I look forward to. So find that one hobby, that one thing that is important to you that maybe you've always wanted to start and never did because you felt like you were too busy. And have that to become your outlet. It's really important. And I see some comments here, connecting more with friends outside. So that is definitely good. Vacations and travel. So we got some people who are going to travel. So share some places you want to go. And that's exactly in socializing more. That's really, really important. So hobbies, making time for fun is so, so, so important. And it's a way to de-stress because it will take your mind off of things. Try not to rely on alcohol, drugs, or impulsive behaviors. Impulsive behaviors like stress eating to reduce stress. It's very easy for us to do that. Again, it's temporary. It numbs the situation at the time, but then it does have effects, right? Depending on which one we choose. And then seek out social help. Spend time with your loved ones, spend time with your friends, just to get your mind off of things. And in some cases, we need professional help. Sometimes we need to see a mental health specialist. Sometimes we need to get some outside help to help us manage our stress or help us to recognize that we're overdoing it. So definitely look at those avenues. And so let's see here. All righty. So which action do you feel is hindering you the most? And I have some of them listed here. Which one do you feel like you can kind of jump on and like, yes, I know I need to attack this? Is it keeping a positive attitude, accepting what you can't control, making time for hobbies, interests that you may have, relying on compulsive behavior? So that's the alcohol, the drugs, the stress eating, seeking social help. So what do you feel is like where you are in your walk? where do you feel would move you forward the most in getting started? Remember, we're just planting seeds, but getting started. Maybe you've done all this stuff up here. Maybe you need to get some help, some professional help. Nothing wrong with that. Or maybe you need to be around more people because you've been isolated so much. Think about really what would bring you out of that shell and to help you to kind of steer in a different direction. That's really what we want to get at. And so identifying what actions triggers your stressful situations isn't a very important first step. Is identifying what is it that prompts you to stress eat. What is it that's prompting you to react the way that you're reacting? And then that's the first step, knowing what it is. Okay. And so just as a quick wrap up, stress occurs when life events surpasses your ability to cope. Okay. So remember that stress occurs when the life events surpasses our abilities to be able to cope with it. So that's when you start feeling overwhelmed. And it causes your body to produce greater levels of that stress hormone, cortisol. But in short spurts, cortisol can help boost your immunity. It can help it will boost your immunity by limiting inflammation. But over time, the body can get used to having too much cortisol in your blood, and this opens up the door for more inflammation. So that normal fight or flight thing that goes on that happens in a short period of time is normal, but when it's day after day after day, then that's when it causes inflammation and problems in our body. So we discussed how stress affects our weight. Cortisol levels weakens our immunity, and it also helps us more susceptible to illness. And remember that cortisol hormone is an appetite stimulant, so that's why it makes us eat more or think we want to eat more. And so take some personal time to set a new normal for yourself. Think about, where you can set some boundaries. Think about where you can include some fun, some hobbies, something to break the monotony to where you're not always so focused on the problem at hand. And use that to set a different strategy for yourself, a different course for yourself, okay? And choose realistic tips that you can continue, that you can work on in the long term, okay? There are no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts to managing stress. Stress is going to always be there. We can never wait for it to go away because as soon as one is gone, something else is going to come, right? That's just life. We're going to always have stress. So like I said, I recommend listening to the replay and just take one or two and tackle it. Don't try to take it all, okay? And from an eating perspective, one thing that you can do I can help you out with on the eating perspective is by downloading this 3-day free meal plan. Okay. So that is one, at least from an eating perspective, you can get a little bit of ideas, a little bit of perspective on how you can plan your meals or how you can eat that's different, that's fun, that's not boring, and just kind of give you an idea of where you can go with that. Because every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. And everything is a starting place. I'm gonna put this in here so people can have an opportunity to download it. And for those of my people who are on YouTube, I will post it out there as well. But also it's just they're easy meals, and they're actually three meals. So there's no snacks because the meals are very, very adequate, and you can actually use part of the meals to serve as your snacks if you feel like it's too much for you to eat. But the point is, it will introduce you to all the food groups, and it will add variety, and it will definitely, by the end of day 3, you will definitely feel a difference in your energy levels as well. So, but also get at least 7 hours of sleep, and that will help too with doing that. So that is a good way to at least help the body work for you. Okay. It's hard to manage stress when you don't have any gas in your tank. So remember that. All right. So thank you for tuning in with me today, and tune in next week. We're going to continue on this. We're going to talk about 5 keys to manage your stress. Okay. So we're going to talk about some different strategies to manage your stress that will also help you to avoid that unwanted weight gain. So I hope you found this informative. Share this with others, and I look forward to seeing you the same time, same handle next week, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.